Come closer, child, don't be afraid. It's just boils and boxes delightfully displayed. Your flesh may wither, your bones may ache, but in decay there's new life to make. Embrace the rot, let pestilence bloom. In your putrefaction, find joy, not doom. My garden is bent with every spore. Nurgle's love will arch you to the core. Perfection's fleeting, decay endures.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast. I hope everyone is doing well, and tonight I'm joined by both of the guys, so say hello fellas.
Hi.
Hello. Nice to see everyone.
Indeed, it's been a while since we've all three of us been back. Will has enjoyed himself a nice breakaway spreading disease over in Greece, was it Will?
Yeah, I was in Greece for a week with the missus, so yeah. Well, I mean, I'd have missed LGT anyway. I think it's a big expense and a long way to go from where we are. Like I think we talked before, it's about the same as going to two other UK TC events in terms of time and finances. But I've been sort of back in time to see all the fallout. I mean, one of the guys from our team, Andy QC, was the guys in the top cut, so he nearly didn't go, and we had to sort of bear bait him into it because he won Sheffield. We were like, well, if you think you're a good player, you've got to go and prove it. Yeah, boy, did he prove it. So yeah, but I mean, obviously, LGT being the topic of the moment. I mean, you guys are both there. How did it go? I mean, Dave, what were your thoughts and feelings on it?
You there, Dave? I don't know if Dave can hear you there. I can hear you, Will. Yeah, Dave's lost his great start to the stream. So Will is currently on his phone, so he'll be a little quiet. He literally had a power cut in the last is it a couple seconds, like a couple minutes.
Yeah, the power has come back on, but I'm scared to switch back the TV and the laptop. Sorry, in case it goes out again. It's the whole street that's gone. It's not just my house, so I'm sort of at the. I don't know. I'm at the will of the power grid at the moment. I don't know if there's anything I can do on my phone in the settings to turn up the mic though. There might be
I've tried to turn you up on my end, mate. I'll see if that can help. Okay, Dave's back. Dave has survived. So very quickly before we answer that first question from Will, just hello to everyone in the chat. It's lovely to have your 54 viewers in the first 2 minutes is insane.
7 people watching, amazing.
That is crazy. So we'll just so I'm just going to say hello to everyone. So Karen Morrison, hello. Zombane, hello. Good chap, hello. Sam, thank you. And Sam in the chat is the guy who allowed me to go, as well as Dave. So people don't know, and when he was tight for a bit, Dave bought me my LGT ticket, and Sam Boardman, who's in the chat, was not only my doubles partner for the doubles at London.
He was your wallet.
He was my wallet because I forgot my card at home as well. So he was my wallet all weekend, and he drove me there and back. So thank you very much, mate. You are a legend. Hugh Janus, Lazy DM.
Again, Aiden?
Yes, I did it last year. I know.
Yeah.
There you go.
People are gonna start thinking I'm doing it on purpose.
It was really good to meet you, Sam.
Zito, Anarchy, Omar Garcia, Wandering Goat in Chicago. That's a great name. Gimme Morton Brandt, and Tryhard Eddie from Tryhard Wargaming. Good to see you in the chat, mate. It was lovely to have a speak to you at the end of the event there. Travis, Lazy Chicken, of course. It's not a DRP stream about sound issues. That is very true. And Tom Bolton coming in with the £5 donation with the 11 cultist meta. So I'll just address this before we go anywhere. On stream, we were very pressured to get time because the stream set up and stuff. I was setting up my army and I accidentally deployed 11 cultists in my unit of 10. Yeah, I don't know how that happened because I only thought I packed what I needed for my event, which was only 10 cultists. It wasn't even a doubles, this cultist. So thankfully it didn't cause any impact on the game, but it was pointed out on stream, and if at any point someone would have just tapped me on the shoulder like, Aiden, you got 11 cultists there, I'd have just pulled it, but thankfully it was a cultist and not a death shroud, so wasn't that big of a deal. I still fucking lost it anyway, so who gives a shit. So if you want to, apparently I've got the nickname 11 cultist Aiden. Oh, imagine, yeah, they'd be like, it was that 11 cultists.
Mate, yeah, that would have been amazing if through some weird set of circumstances, the 11 cultists had won you the game.
Imagine.
You just like out OC'd someone with an extra cultist on the.
Lays chicken with the forgets his wallet, but not the extra cultist. Sus. very, very true. So yeah, I will address that. That was my bad. It was just time pressure because you don't get any extra time on the round being on stream, but you have to obviously mic up, get stuff set up, check the cameras, get your army out, and stuff like that. So it was just a bit more faffing about, and obviously you have to learn how to use a little screen that War Games Joe uses to like do all the scoring that like obviously interacts with his stream. It's really cool actually. It was really fun. But yeah, I do apologise profusely for daring to deploy that one extra 5-point model. Please forgive me. And thank you very much for the one gifted membership there. Just a quick one before we do get into stuff. Obviously, if you do enjoy the content, leave a like. And what else can you do, Mr. Dave?
You can comment and subscribe.
And the last thing, if you really, really like the channel, Will,
You can listen to more episodes and tell all your friends about it. Post on your social media, tell your mum and dad, buy our merchandise, t-shirts, all the things in the chat, and even go to Element Games and use our affiliate link if you've got any models to buy. And that way you give a little kickback to the channel and keeps Aiden fed, and means that next time he goes to LGT, he might actually have some money.
yeah, I can actually bring my card with me that time. And obviously, if you want to become a member, do consider becoming a member. You get access to our Discord, you get access to list reviews, all sorts of things. Our Discord community is absolutely awesome. People there always being super helpful. And yeah, it's just a cool way to join. We'll have a giveaway coming up soon. But yes, let's get into the meat and potatoes. People don't want to sit here and hear us waffling. So, Dave.
Actually, that's exactly why they're here.
That is actually kind of true, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think are you gonna call out Dave Irving in the chat? Are you, Aiden, or?
Oh wow, what's he said? There he is. You're talking about seal clubbing this evening.
Yeah.
Potentially. I've got
For people who don't know, Dave Irving is the head ref at UKTC events. So Dave Irving is our prestigious man. He's here to ref our conversation and make sure we don't slack off UKTC. If we do, we'll get a red mark against our names. But they are shit events, though, guys. So I'm not bothered. But just to find update.
Yeah, Will can say what he wants. He didn't go. But Cert's also right. One of my members is like, Aiden's score and my score in terms of wins does make 7.
That is true, actually. Yeah, together we do have the 7 wins there, so it had to be fair. Just quickly to answer a question in chat: were the cameras motorized on those rail systems and moving during the game? They were. I remember that fondly because one of them bashed my knob.
And he doesn't mean his orc.
I was going to say, yeah, because he doesn't play up.
It was quite a surreal thing to just like feel something moving down. You're like, what the fuck? And you look down at his little camera going, hello.
At least he didn't start gyrating and be like, ooh. It's been a bit embarrassing.
We're Nurgle, not Slanesh. Remember that.
Yeah. The camera had little nudgings, winding handles.
So pulling us back to LGT, and so I haven't, because I wasn't there. I didn't. I mean, I know anyone could access BCP because I know it was kind of like a public event because it was so big, but I haven't really had a chance to sort of go through it. But I mean, did you? I'm assuming you guys have looked through. Who else managed to go 4-1, or was it just Aiden who managed to pull out such a result?
No, there's a few for Death Guard, actually, specifically. We have Zito, who's in the chat. He managed to get himself a 4-1. We had Joseph Dennison Reed, who's went to the RTT. And it was a funny one about it, and I'll get to it, because he was having a bit of a... He was 3-1 going into his final round, and he got his pairing, and it was against Canoptic Court, and he was having a bit of a shake of confidence on it. And I'll get into why I was in the mood I was in, but I went up to him and I literally poked him in the chest, and I was like, "You're gonna go fuck this man." I was like, "You're gonna go and fuck him. Tell me that right now." And sure enough, he actually went away, and he did. So nice. So we had, and then who else? I'm pretty sure there was another. Robert Percival went 4-1 as well, so another 4-1. And then the wildest Death Guard Andy managed to get himself a 4-1 with the craziest fucking list I've ever seen go 4-1. So.
Is that the guy who runs White Lord Terminator?
It is, yeah. So
3 units of 5 Death of Blight Lord Terminators.
Dave, you didn't have to do that, you goober. Thank you very much.
Because I just noticed there were 69 people watching.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's fair.
So I suppose before we sort of, because obviously we've got some questions for you guys and your own experience, but before we launch into those, because obviously we'll give you a chance to sort of talk through the list that you ran, but of the other people who did 4-1 or maybe it's even a 3-2 if there's a list, was there any list that stood out as being a bit different? I mean, what were the main archetypes that kind of popped up, or was there a lot of variety?
For Death Guard, for our list.
Yeah, for Death Guard. Yeah.
So I mean, we have just mentioned there Death Guard Andy with his wild 3x5 Blight Lord Terminator 3x Sorcerer build. So I'm gonna have to have a look at that at some point. So that was pretty wild. I think part of that we had quite not all the similar. We were a bit different. But it was still your core kind of things, Death Shrouds and stuff like that. I'm hoping to get both Zito and Joseph and possibly Robert. Robert, if I haven't have a chat to you about this, but if you're happy to come on at some point, talk to all the people that did well with Death Guard, and we also had I want to give a special shout out to Craig Bedford. He didn't have the greatest event, but I think there's a reason for that. He went, I can't remember if he went 2 and 3 or 3 and 2 in the end. But his second game, so he won his first one, went into his second one, and he was against Jack Tithe. Yeah, the fourth best player in the world, the best Sisters player in the world. He fucking beat him. He knocked him out round 2
Nice.
with Death Guard. But I think it took such a toll mentally on him that basically it screwed him because then he lost in the next game on like 95. He had 95 points and still got a loss because of a silly little thing. So I do want to give a special shout out to him because even though he's upset with his result and he was a bit disappointed himself, scalping Jack Tithe, who's a lovely person by the way, but that is a hell of a name to take. But he also want to shout out Jack Tithe on that one because he said, as a player like himself, he could easily be very frustrated at that scenario, losing to like Death Guard or something like that. And people were giving him like jip for it at the table, like, oh my god, you're going to lose round 2 to Death Guard. But Craig said that he was the most chill and nice person. And he didn't change his attitude and start trying to pull, daft things to try and get a win out of it. He just owned the fact that he lost. So special shout out there to him as well. So, but, I mean,
I do. Yeah, I'd want to call someone else as well. Actually, it's so my I think my. Need to check my fourth opponent. You can check in BCP called Jamie Flux. I also want to say that all of my opponents were amazing. So I'd like to thank Ross, Robbie, Jeff, Jamie, and Ben. I had amazing games against all of you. Jamie was a mirror match for me. He also had a despoiler.
Oh yeah.
In round 4.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we had Death Guard versus Death Guard. Despoiler, both exact same loadout, battle cannons, ruined spear rocket pods. He also ran 3 PBCs, Mortarian, a unit of 2 units of 3 Death Shroud, each led, 10 Poxwalkers. So it was a real I was going down the list being like, wow, this is like madness. But he played. We had a really good game. It was really tight. But in terms of another kind of more difficult or interesting Death Guard list, he took that and went. I believe he also went 3 and 2.
Oh, nice. That's really good. So I mean, not to blow the lead then before we go deep dive from the people. To know, obviously you do your weekly video, Aiden, where you sort of pick out some lists. Are you going to highlight any of these in that video? So should we save the info of going into them for that rather than sort of?
Yeah, but we can talk about them quickly because the thing is, for that video, I'm hoping to actually reach out to the people and maybe like a 10-minute chat with them about the list and maybe they'll have some more input on why they took what they did. So we can still quickly look at some of the lists from them. Obviously, so for people that are watching, I'm going to do my full event recap where I do like the move by move battles reenactment later this week, more than likely, because they take a full 2 odd hours themselves, and obviously this is more like a generic recap. So we'll be doing that later on in the week. We'll not be doing that tonight, so just to give you all, so you're not sat there waiting for it if you are waiting for it. So just want to make that clear. But yeah, we can have a look at. So I mean, can I actually search by Death Guard? I can. Perfect. So there you go. So
amazing.
So to answer Robert Percival, who I believe is Zombane in the chat as well, there are other 4-on-1 Death Guard players. Joseph, I know, took Mortarian, because I remember seeing his lovely Moffy wings in the middle of 12 Canoptic Wraiths in the final round. Craig Farrell, also, that's Zito there. I'm not sure if he took Mortarian. Let's have a look. So no Mortarian for here. So let's have a look at his list called It's a 2+ Save, I'll Be Alright.
I'm glad people were taking really good names as well.
Yeah, so we got a Sorcerer, Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence. So he's gone for 7-man Plague Marine squad, 5-man Plague Marine squad. I want to just see the build. Oh, a Land Raider! Fuck yeah!
Nice.
Cheeky
Nice.
Land Raider in there.
Love it.
1, 2, 3 squads of Death Shroud Terminators, 1 the big brick and 2 smaller bricks. Backed up by 2 bloat drones, 2 blight haulers as well. So you're pushing 4 and 1 with fucking blight haulers.
Wow.
Hell yeah,
Well,
dude.
It was really good.
That's a cracking list. So yeah, that's a cool list. So we have one archetype there with eschewed all the big. So no predators, no PBCs, no allies, past some Nurglings. So that's, you know, everyone's got a unit of Nurglings at least. So 4-1 on that list. Very well played.
What's the
Thank you very
gentleman's...
much for the gifted.
Oh bloody hell, Christopher Hart! Thank you
wow.
very, very much, mate, for the 10
Very much,
gifted subs as
thank
well.
What's the gentleman's name, Aiden or Dave? Actually, the gentleman who kind of was running what I guess Mortarian and the kind of 3 carnivores and 3 predators. Was he there? I know his list, but I don't know his name. You see, is he one of the people who did well, or is he not in attendance? Because he's from the northeast, isn't he?
Craig.
Is that who he is? Is that his
Yeah,
name?
that's the guy who scalped Jack. But unfortunately, then it basically, I think it drained all of his mental a bit because he
Oh, nice.
he said he was making silly mistakes the next games. But you know, it happens. But again, what a hell of a name to take. So that's in there. Craig Bedford from Carnage.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Now he has said
I really
openly.
like that list.
Yeah, it's a good list. Although he's kind of gone off the Predators after this event. I think he feels they're a bit too swingy for him. So again, we'll have him on. We'll have a chat about it. But yeah, he's the one that runs Double Brigade Carnivore.
Ties in very nicely one of the subjects we're going to bring up later, where we're talking about sort of UKTC and some of the firing lanes. Because as someone who also, you know, until now had sworn on 3 predators, I have been playing a few practice games on the UKTC missions, and kind of, I don't think the firing lanes are there to justify the range. And he's right, the swinginess, you kind of struggle to get them all in the same lane. But anyway, I'm blowing the lead because obviously Dave had a 72-inch range knight on the table, so he's the best person to sort of address, are the firing lanes, you know, good, you know, or is it time to look at short range options? So we can pick it up in the latter half. But you know, sort of talking about LGT, I mean, how did you two find it? You know, because obviously in the past, last time I was there was a good couple of years ago, and there was long queues for the food trucks and things like that. What was it like this time? Was it a bit more kind of, what was it like, you know, just from a player's point of view? Was it kind of easy to find the tables, easy to move around, easy to get drinks and food and stuff?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I found it easy to get around the event. I think it's worth noting as well that it's the biggest LGT I think to date, 836 players. It was absolutely enormous. So they had that going on. They did have more food options this year. Of course, with that many people, games roughly finishing in the same time frame, unless you absolutely wiped your opponent out, or you guys or you're playing with somebody that you could play really fast with. You were walking out into it being really, really busy. But there was water usually usually really easily available. The bar staff were really good, and you know, worked solidly from it. They were there from the moment it opened till like an hour past it closed. I personally didn't have any issues with having room for my things, like my dice train stuff there. It's always I think tricky in those events to have good table space around you. But in general, I think it was pretty well run. It was easy to get to, and I had a really good event personally.
Yeah,
fantastic. What about? Sorry,
I was basically going to agree. Like, they had a lot. Like I said, Dave said a lot more food vans available this year. Which some of them are cracking as well. Some of them are proper good. I had the black bean chicken. That was super nice.
Not that you paid for it.
Not that I paid for it. No, Sam paid for it, obviously. So you know, it tastes better when it's free, obviously. Dave, to answer David Evans' question in the chat, how did you find the referees? All of them were great. Par one, he was a dickhead. The head judge didn't get along with him at all.
Dave, yeah.
I mean, it's just.
He gives me a lift, but like it's just awful in the car. He just talks about, you know, he honestly thinks that the movement phase happens last at the end of the turn, and you fight before you move. I mean, I'm not sure even why he's a ref, to be honest.
Yeah, he came over to me and he was asking me for rulings, and I was like, "It ain't your fucking job."
WhatsApp. I think the WhatsApp. I'm seeing this year as well. The guys implemented QR codes on the table, so you could scan it and then start a WhatsApp chat with the refs to call one to your table. That was really good. Dave, what I will say though is table 382 in round 3. There was an inch in height difference between the two tables, and we called a ref over because we're like, I don't think we should be fixing this. And one of your refs pulled out a handful of printed packs, like the maps. And then folded them up and wedged them under the table, which made it about half an inch better, and was like, "Cool." So that was. But joking aside, it was like there was just a table was shorter than the other. There's not a lot you could do. But the WhatsApp engagement was a nice addition, and people responded quickly to it.
Nice. And jokes aside, Dave's an amazing ref, by the way. Dave, whenever you have a rules query, always knows, and if he doesn't know,
amazing.
He knows who to consult. And if he ever sort of question his answer, he does come and show you the actual text and explain why it's that ruling. It's not just his opinion. If you reference this to this and this, that means you come out with this. So we're taking the mick out of Dave because we know him. But he's an excellent ref, and he is one of the sort of people who makes the UK TC events happen, along with Paul and all the other amazing staff that are part of the team. So so joke aside, I just want to clear that up in case people do think that we're being serious there and Dave gets any flack. But yes, I mean.
So just very quickly, Anarchy, thank you very much for becoming a member for 2 months there, mate. He's got a message saying, props to Aiden mid-game explaining the game to someone. Some people, and Christopher, like, I remember for 12 months coming in with a love heart as well. So thank you both very much for your support. So yeah, people that, I'll get into it in a minute, because I was on Stream Game for the round 1, so on War Games Live, so War Games Live Joe, I was the Stream Game player, and midway through the game, a random passerby who doesn't know anything about Warhammer started asking me questions about Warhammer mid-game, and I was stood there talking to it. I completely forgot that the mic was on while I was doing it, so I basically was sat there selling Warhammer to the stream and to this random woman for like 5 minutes during my bonus movement phase, which was quite funny. And Sir, thank you very much for also becoming a member there for 2 months straight. Massively appreciate all of it, guys.
That's also called flirting.
Please. I was more like, I don't know what's going on at the table. Hurry up, lady, please.
Is this before or after the camera brushed your knob?
No, this was before, thankfully. For actual event, I was down on the Friday. I signed up for the doubles event with Sam Boardman, who's in the chat. Do you want me to quickly go over the doubles?
How did the doubles go? Because I guess because you've got so much to recap with your singles, let's have a quick. See if you can summarise it in 5 minutes. There you go. See if you can accept the challenge.
So thought process was everyone's going to bring these like horrifically large, like deadly models to the game. What if we just brought shit, like so much shit? So I brought along 60 Poxwalkers, so the full amount we could. A 1 big brick of Death Shroud Terminates with a lot of Contagion, Typhus to go with one of the Poxwalkers, and 3 Bloat Drones. And then Sam, who was my teammate, brought Chaos Space Marines Deceptors with 2 bricks of ACDC, 3 bricks of Cultists, 2 bricks of Trader Guardsmen, and 2 Vindicators, I think it was. And to summarise it, basically is we read the room pretty right, and we went against Eldar and Sisters in the first round, and they just couldn't do anything about it. There was just too many lovely ladies, though. They were just more casual there for fun, but we just had a laugh with that game. There was no way in hell their list with all the multi-melters could deal with 156 odd regenerating bodies, which was pretty funny. We don't actually think, we just kind of sent the list and was like, I'll do it. We had a second round. We went against the guys who won the doubles event the previous year at London, and they had brought Wolf Jail, and so it was the full 18 Thunderwolves and some Infiltrators, and then they also had a Tau teammate who brought double Hammerhead, double Riptide, and 3 Piranhas and 2 squads of Self-Stoots. So do you know what's really the most funny thing in the world to watch? to watch Wolf Jail get jailed.
Yeah.
The irony was amazing. They couldn't, they just couldn't get through the horde of guys. The Lord of Contagion and 6 Death Shroud brick clapped 2 full units of Thunderwolf cavalry. Because I heroics into 1 on an infected objective marker, pop sustained hits 2, clapped it, and then the next turn charged into 1 and clapped that one to death. And then the last one charged into Typhus's 20 Poxwalkers. But I popped -1 damage strat, so he's +1 damage for the charge, didn't do anything.
Amazing.
The Feel No Pains, I lost like 9 guys because I took the -1 weapon skill and ballistic skill, and it's Typhus's unit, so he's hitting them on 5s, getting a Feel No Pain, and then I've got a picture in the Discord, and it's just like a unit of like 4 Thunderwolves have been reduced down, just surrounded by like 90 Poxwalkers, and you can see Sam's ACDC just walking casually towards the opponent's home objective in the background. It was so fucking funny. And then the last game we played against I think they were a French team, because they definitely had the accent. Lovely guys, but we realised very quickly the list we took, the best thing about it was the amount of mental damage it inflicted on the opponent players. Every time they'd pull out a clock, because we have 160 models, they'd clock out because they were overthinking everything. Because Sam's army took Deceptor's attachment, had a 6-inch reactive move, which moved with a 9 on everything. And if you shot the ACDC, it then Blood Surge moved, so he could move up to 6 inches right next to you. And then if you shot him, he'd Blood Surge into you. And there was a moment in the final game where we had Magnus, Shalaxi Hellbane, and a Mutilith Vortex Beast. And they drew 2 secondaries. They had to do actions. None of them could move, because if they did, Sam would reactive move his entire ACDC brick behind a wall so it couldn't be shot. It was or Blood Surge into 2 units so then they couldn't do actions. It was so fucking stupid. It was so funny. They were arguing so much, but it was like how friends argue. They were just like,
yes, it was kind of banter arguing rather than like...
The guy was like, "You've got to do something." He's like, "What the fuck do you want me to do?"
Amazing.
It was.
Sounds like a really good time then, guys. So, oh wow, Brian Tummel,
Jesus Christ!
Thank you very much, by the way. Just to interrupt there, I'm guessing you guys have all seen that in the chat. Just donated $50 US. So Brian,
Jesus Christ, Brian.
Wow. I think Aiden, that's your message, right? That $50 is buying you a Leicester ticket, as far as I'm concerned. So, Brian, you've just sent Aiden to Leicester, so me, Dave, and Aiden can play the tournament as a trio. There you go.
That's amazing. Brian, thank you very much.
But also to Sierra as well, who became a member for 2 months. Thank you as well. Love you guys. How do doubles games work? It's basically you and a teammate both make a 1,000 point list, and then you play together on the same table against 2 other people with their 1,000 point lists. Now, you don't get to make use of each other's rules. You still can only target your own stuff with your own strats. Oh yeah, I'll mention that, Sam. But because we're Death Guard, we don't give our allies bonuses, we reduce how good our opponents are, which means they can benefit from them. So his cultists really enjoyed shooting at toughness 3 Marines, and obviously giving ACDC AP2 was pretty great. So that was very cool. And Lutz Eichholder, thank you also very much for coming up playing Marine there, mate. And yeah, Brian, that sip was for you there, bud. Massively appreciated there, mate. But yeah, one last cool thing that kind of happened from the doubles was Magnus was alive after doing 2 entire turns of shooting and melee to kill 1 squad of ACDC. That the unit needs fucking nerf. It's so insane.
It's insane.
2 full shooting and 2 full melee rounds with full rerolls to hit and wound with +1 to hit and wound, and he couldn't kill him. He just about finished it off, and then in our turn we drew a card for no prisoners. But all they had left on their side was a 2-wound Mutilith Vortex Beast, which I could finish off, that's fine. But then we had Magnus on 5 wounds, which the only thing that was near him was like 6 cultists of Sam's. That's it. So I was like, we should probably redraw this because we're only going to get 2 points for it. Sam was like, I'm going to kill fucking Magnus. I'm like, how are you going to kill Magnus? He's on 5 wounds, you got 6 cultists. And he kept saying, I'm just going to kill him. I'm arguing to redraw this card. He's like, no, Aiden, I'm going to kill Magnus. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. You do you. So he moved these 6 cultists towards Magnus. Their opponents had been hearing him say, I'm going to kill Magnus this entire time. He overwatches with Magnus out of panic because he's worried about what's about to happen. He kills like 3 cultists, but there's still 3 alive. So then Sam goes, 1 command point. grenade strat because his cultists have grenades, CSM cultists. He rolls the dice.
Maybe.
Every single 6 was a 4-up. 6 mortal wounds, Magnus dies on the spot. The French guy literally just fell back into his chair like that, like in disbelief of what just happened. He's like, what the fuck was that? It's so fucking funny.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. So that was one of the funniest highlights. So we actually did. So we won all 3 games in doubles, and we actually did well enough that we actually managed to take first place. So technically, we are now the LGT doubles champions by running a Poxwalker Terminus Est Chaos Cults list. So everyone else went tall and we went wide.
Pretty good.
But, I mean, the ACDC or is that actually abbreviation people give for the cultists, isn't the I mean, it kind of links to another topic that we kind of mentioned. You know, what because the balance data slate's due. I mean, what do we think of some of the stuff that kind of maybe could do with a bit of a look at? You know, maybe a few problem units, especially linking to the fact that LGT's just happened, and you know, obviously we've kind of seen now what kind of is at the top of the meta. Perhaps possibly with the exception of Orcs, I think that was just Brian did an absolute skill flex rather than yeah, I think that's just a skill flex rather than us knowing that Orcs are broken. So it maybe ignoring Orcs. I mean, obviously Cursed Cultists, they seem. I mean, admittedly they didn't make it to the top, but I think at this point we can kind of probably, as a community, probably agree that they're in need of some kind of look at. We don't know what it is, but there may be some points or like a data sheet adjustment in some way, because they are definitely overly strong. I mean, obviously, Aiden, you sort of saw that. I don't know if there's anything that how you would address a Cursed Cultist, or you know, do you actually think that the meta or the community in a wide, the game on a whole needs to adapt to, you know, and just sort of suck it up? They're actually not that bad. It's just because they're not.
They're horrendous. They are so silly. How they actually deal with it, I am not too sure. You could just point it into the ground, but like I don't like units becoming unviable and unusable. But something needs to be done. Some people have said maybe don't let Dark Commune lead them. So then it's Dark Commune just lead Cultists. But then again, like, do you really want to be putting that with Cultists? Cultists don't have the impact, so it's a really hard one to fix there. Someone in the chat's asking what is ACDC. ACDC is a Chaos Space Marines unit of a Cursed Cultist being led by a Dark Commune, hence the nickname ACDC, plus obviously the memes. But they're very, very, very powerful at the moment. I expect
it doesn't look it.
Yeah, it's very unassuming. That's the problem. It's very, very unassuming.
I played it at Leeds, and on paper I was like, I knew they were good, but I thought they'd been nerfed, and since the Codex had come, they weren't that good. I thought his list was maybe a bit of a meme, and like if there'd have been another turn of the game, he would have overrun me. Like I won that point, but that game because he respected the fact that I had a lot of anti-infantry, so he played Katie the first couple of turns, but then he basically said, oh fuck it, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to stand behind this wall and lose, I'm going to come out and at least give it a game. And my god, he nearly just ran over a whole army. It was like, if you had have just done this turn one, that would have comfortably been his game. So I mean, that was him kind of over-respecting, you know, the sort of like the bloke drone. So I think, you know, when I saw the full force, I couldn't believe that was still in the game, because I thought we'd already been through this once. I remember you.
That's savage.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, Bulgrin appeared on the top tables in Nassim's list. I mean, they seem another kind of obviously egregious unit. I mean, I don't know if it's just points for them, or obviously Guard are probably going to get a book in January, I think, aren't they? I think they're on the roadmap or you know, early next year, but they're definitely egregious.
The -1 damage is boring on that. Like they don't hit that hard because they've only got -1 AP, but the fact that they -1 damage in just naturally is, and it means they can just hang around, and they got 4 pin bomb
and 4 wounds. 4 wounds as well.
Yeah.
I just want to point out as well the amount
I went into guard and I killed in one of my games, and I killed a Rogue. I actually thrashed a Rogue Dawn with Death Shroud. He was like, "You haven't got any anti-tank." I'm like, "That's anti-tank," and killed it instantly. But then a unit of 3 Bulgrin managed to survive it.
Did the sweep on Death Shroud not smash Bulgrin into the ground?
I did that the second time, because I obviously was wounding easier on the strike. So kind of went for that the first time, and then just kind of went into sweep on the second way round. So it kind of was. It wasn't that I lost anything in return. I just got tangled up with them for a turn and then deleted them. But yeah, it was like you suddenly go, oh right, yeah, that -1 toughness, -1 damage is really annoying.
They're like nothing in points though as well. Like, I don't know what their points are off the top of my head, but there's someone who plays them locally, and like when he told me how much they were, I was like, really? So yeah, I think they're maybe one of those units where I don't think they're that egregious because, like you said, Dave, they don't have high OC.
No.
They don't kill loads, but I think they're just too cheap for that defensive profile. I think is their main problem. I mean, did either of you play against Deathwing Knights? Did that pop up in either of your games?
Yeah, I did as well.
I did. And what were your thoughts on them? Because obviously they're another troublesome. I was really surprised Dark Angels didn't make. I think did they make the Shadow round, but just not the top cut? Because I was amazed that they weren't on the top tables.
I'll get it up now.
Yeah, Tom, it is cheap.
I'm not sure if they actually did. I mean, let's have a look.
Wow, 180 for 6 Bulgrin. That is ridiculous. So I've just seen Tom Bolton post that in the chat. That is insane.
So cheap.
I thought there was 220
one Dark Angels.
Who was it? Who was playing them?
It was Lewis Barlington from Mind Goblins. Right. Yeah, that's the only one. Lots of sisters, quite a few demons. Astra Militarum, so a few Astra Militarum. Only the one Necrons. Lots of Astra Militarum actually. One Tau player. Obviously Orcs, CSM.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say this LGT, which I was really, really, really pleased about, was I played 5 different armies.
Actually, same here, to be honest. I mean, speaking of that, I do actually want to have a look at what you actually played against, Dave.
Why don't you both? Because obviously we'll
talk
come
about
back
in depth later.
You can do your but maybe run through maybe give a really brief summary of what the list you're running. Because obviously, Dave, you've already alluded to the despoiler, so I'm sure there's a few people in the chat kind of excited to know how the rest of that list looked, and maybe just run through the games that you played. The man himself. Yeah, that might be a good thing to do, and then because obviously then it'd be nice to maybe move on that and just talk a little bit about the firing lanes at UKTC, and obviously that's what was played at LGT, and talk about maybe how that sort of could affect Death Guard builds, and and just sort of the meta on a whole. Because I think the UKTC boards, especially after LGT, they seem to be becoming more and more common across the UK, and I've also noticed a couple of Art of War sort of back reps using them and stuff. So I think they're going to become more common. So I think it's the firing lanes are quite different on them compared to other terrain formats, in my opinion, at least. So I don't know if you guys want to start by running through your lists.
Yeah, I can because like we said, we're going to. I'll do a video as well later in the week, which I'll just talk through kind of the bits, but I'll rattle through this. So Aiden's put it up on screen. So I played. Like I said, I had a lovely game with everyone. All of my opponents were amazing. So my first opponent was Ross Lilly, who's playing Adeptus Sororitas Bringers of Flame, Triple Castigator, Triumph, more of a Vow, Paragons, the usual kind of stuff. Lots of sisters, some bits, and a couple of immolators in there as well. Was an 11-point loss. So I was actually really happy with that, being that I wasn't playing a particularly, especially mobile Death Guard list, because I had 2 big bricks of 6 dash round, a despoiler, which is like 1,000 points on my army pretty much, 2 units of cultists, big 10-man brick of Fight First, Plague Marines, all melee, with the characters, another Rhino with 5 Plague Marines in it, all shooty, with 2 Plaguecasters, obviously the Plague Bus standard. I reserved that every single game. I reserved Typhus. I put Typhus in Deep Strike every game, and I put a unit of 6 dash round with an LAC in Deep Strike every game. Is basically what I did. I sat the night sitting off the middle ruins, whether that's the 2 small L's put together or whatever. I left him standing off of that. I put a unit of dash round in front of him, and then I basically had cultists ready to move out if I got first turn. So the plan was always push cultists out if I get first turn, infect an objective if I can get there, move, advance, pin my opponent, make it difficult for them to get out. If they do come out first, then I've got a Death Shroud unit to just smash into the middle and kill whatever comes on there, and the threat of the night to just sit there. So to answer your question, Will, I didn't need 72 inches of range in any game whatsoever. I barely needed, I think, 36 in any of those games. But What I will say about a despoiler is the threat of it sitting there. In 2 of my games, I didn't even touch it on and shoot until turn 3. I just let it. This was like a spectre of death hanging over the ruin, like looking across the board. And so people were measuring and being like, "Oh, what am I going to put there? Where do I want to put this? Do I want to risk it?" So, I think reflecting on it, even the double, what might have been really fun, and I think we talked about that before, is even the double thermal cannons on it might be really interesting. I think that could be really, really interesting in this. But what I will say is the double battle cannons through weight of dice picked up so much across the event. But against Sororitas, what it came down to really quickly was I needed. He had the triumph on the middle. I'd had a really strong turn 3. He had a really strong turn 3. And I had to basically deny him the middle. So what I had to do was put the knight on the middle, and it had taken some wounds from the melters. He obviously was going to put a 6 in for one of the Overwatch, and he just got. And I was like, "Look, I know you're going to Overwatch it, and you've definitely got 1/6. You can only need 1 or 2 more, and it could go wrong. But I have to get you off the middle to basically secure this game." So I was like, "I'm going to do it." So I put the knight out. He obviously Overwatched. He put 1/6 in, and then got another 3 6s. And basically just killed it. So that's kind of where the game went. But we had such a great game; it went all the way down to the wire. That was really fun. So I played it to Sororitas first. My second game was check was against Robbie. It was against Dark Angels. So I had an 11-point loss round 1. I had a 9-point loss game 2. Brilliant game into Dark Angels once again. I think I really messed with him psychologically. Turn 1, he put some scouts on the middle, and I just shuffled up, and I just immediately. My turn 1 took 2 minutes. I moved the Rhino onto the top ruin, and then just went, "Your turn." And he's like, "You're not gonna come out," and I was like, "Nope." And then he moved around a bit more, and but also didn't come out. So I pushed closer to the walls with 12 Death Shroud, with the Plague Marines disembarked ready. Pushed the Rhino up, and then I was like, "Your turn." And I had to do this also because the secondaries that I drew for the first 2 turns, even with burning CP to redraw, I couldn't do. No. So I was like, this is what cost me the game, really, was not an inability to score on that. So he then spent 10 minutes looking at me, looking at the board, looking back at me, going, "What's happening? Why isn't?" And then I bought in my turn 3. I did go turn. Highlight of that I'll just talk about. And this was he had a load of eradicators behind some cover. And he's got a strat. He's playing Vanguard, so he can reactively move. So I disembarked the Plague Marines out 8 inches, and I'm like, "I'm charging that unit." He's like, "So you can reactively move." So he rolls a 4 to move back, and I roll an 11 on the charge, and basically, and then pick up the entire Eradicators unit.
Nice.
Whichever the plasma ones are that shoot back. There's like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Hellblasters. I picked up the entire Hellblaster unit. Yeah, and then basically I went on a rampage for the rest of the game, and just basically he hit me back with, I think, some inner circle. I then killed that. Basically, but it was really tight. Went down to 9 points at the end. Great game. Lovely player as well. We had a brilliant time. Game 3 I played into that was against Jeff. Jeff was a guard player. We had a great game. Basically, I don't think quite knew how damaging Death Shroud were, and I picked up 2 Rogaldorns in that game. I even killed a character unit. He sneaked round the back with Overwatch with some cultists. I basically just got ahead quickly and just managed to talk at the game. I'll talk about it later. 4th game was against Jamie Flux, Death Guard player. Death Guard mirror match. 2 despoilers. Absolutely brilliant fun. Unfortunately for Jamie, he in his turn 2, he moved, because he had limited units, he moved stuff out in the deployment zone. But even in the search and destroy deployment zone, I walked around the other side of the table and went, "Is there anything behind the big L?" And he said, "No." And I put 6 Death Shroud and a Lord of Contagion in his deployment zone with a rapid ingress. And then basically just charged into 2 Plague Burst Crawlers through the wall, and then charged his Death Shroud, which were touching onto the wall, with my 6 Death Shroud. He only had 3. And then it basically just kept everything in his deployment zone. I just spread out, guarded all the points, and just sat on them the whole game. So that kind of happened there, but that was a really good game. And then last game was Ben, who was playing CSM. And that's where you've probably seen the great picture of my knight with 10 CSM coming. Terminators. What I basically did in that was, I had some cultist screening in front of the knight. I put 6 dash out round the back of the base of the knight, so if he at some point charged it at the top or the bottom, I could heroic. But what I then did was he put some scouts on that, so some rubrics out on the middle. So I charged them with the cultists from behind the ruin to make him rapid, to make him heroic in with the Terminators, so that he would then pile in closer to the knight but stay on the other side of the wall. And then in my turn, I deep struck 6 more Dash Out Terminators on the foot of the knight. So they're going, when you charge, and you're committed now because your Terminators are all sat in the open, I'm going to heroic with another 6 Dash Out with full rerolls, and I'm going to sustain 1.
Ooh, nice play.
Yeah, so his 10 Terminators come in. He's got to commit all the Chain Fist to hitting the knight, and then he's only got 4 to hit the Dash Shroud. So I basically then go, well, I'm heroicing. It's a 4-inch, make it easily, wrap them, and then he does 4 wounds to the knight and kills 1 Dash Shroud. And in return, I'm re-rolling everything, lethals and sustained on 6s. I got a ton of them in. I killed all of them, but with the character. And then in my turn, I just moved up, had a 1-inch charge into character and killed that.
Nice.
The knight picked up almost half the other group of Terminators. Even though he had a 2-up save because he AOC'd, I made him spend all his CP the entire game on AOC. And basically then just weight of dice, saving on 2s, the big knight killed 4 with the battle cannons and killed another 2 with the rockets. He then came through the wall to my Plague Marines, which were all debussed. They overwatched, killed another 3 of them, and then when he charged, basically I fought first and killed the rest.
Nice. That's really good.
So I basically gutted his Terminators, and that was it. But it was a good tactical game for that. But the spoiler was very, very impactful in that. And that was my last
just one for the future, Dave. What were his termies saving on when you shot them with the cannons?
2s.
Were you in contagion range?
Yeah. So he had a bit of cover and AOC.
Doesn't work. If you reduce his save to a 3-up, you can never get back to a 2-up. So you actually probably would have picked up a lot more.
Don't they have a 2-up save base?
Yeah, but you reduce it to a 3-up.
You reduce the save when you're on a 3+ save.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you actually
you can't go back. Yeah, you're right.
So actually, potentially that Despoiler, even though it did kill a fair few there, probably actually would have killed twice as much.
That's a really good point. I genuinely have never thought about that. That's
because you're not adding AP to your guns, you're minusing their saves.
And
same way like Plague Marines in cover can't go to a 2+.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and then of course you can't go better than a 3. That was really interesting.
It's a rare thing to come up. But before we jump into your games and things, I know we'll run through your 5 just like Dave did there as well. But I do just want to sort of expand, because I think it's probably a good one for Dave in terms of the firing lanes, and obviously you can chip in because you had the shorter 24-inch range stuff. Because it seems on the UK TC boards, more the way the terrain is, I don't think there's a firing lane where you can shoot right across the board except through the middle objective. Yeah. And it just seems to me like, because in the past, I've always found the 3 Predators are really good because you could stage them in, get lines to at least 2 objectives, sometimes kind of move, and it seems like now you can get 1 objective and 1 objective only, and then you can kind of, because the way the terrain's set, I found that if you put 1 Predator to see one side of the board, it can't see the other, so you'd have to put all 3 Predators together for me running Predators to kind of use them as like 1 super Predator, or you divide them out and then they all just do chip damage and none of them are really that effective. So I've been thinking about maybe 2's best, but I mean, I don't know, would this affect your U2's list building going forward? I mean, obviously you had the Knight there. Was it good because it was 1 platform? Or do you think this is where the Plague Bust comes in and it's like shorter ones? Or maybe now 24-inch guns are the only guns that you need? I don't know if this is something to touch on briefly, just with it being sort of, such a...
Yeah, I mean, I'll do 2 minutes just because I've got them. I played the Knight. I mean, the whole point of me taking this list to LGT was, what does souping in a Despoiler or a Knight like that do for Death Guard? The answer is it does a lot. Our ability to -1 tough T10 into T9 to get 3s to wound, or a T11 to T10 to get 4s, is incredibly helpful. The ability to put an extra effective point of AP on the battle cannons is something no one else can do. That's incredibly powerful. But to answer your question, I never needed the range. I think you could choose some different loadout for it, and it would be effective. Um, it definitely did cost. If I'd gone to that event purely trying to go 4-1, or which getting that close with 2 games of 11 and a 9 with this, I definitely would. I think, well, definitely that's not true at all. I would like to think I would have gone 4-1 if I hadn't have taken that and probably some more mission play,
Okay.
more mission based bits. But it definitely had the psychological impact on my opponents. The damage it can do is something we've got nothing else in the army that can do it. And like in that CSM move, it also can act as a law to it can do a load of damage and still focus people on trying to get rid of it when it's very tough to do.
So do you think then, just to you then, Dave, if you were going to play this event again, do you think you would maybe swap the big knight for a couple of brigands? And do you think you might tweak the list to sort of fit in maybe some brigands instead, and sort of go back to being able to push for 4-1s and stuff? What do you think?
I think I'd actually take if I'd gone into that event to go for the wins. I think what I would have done is probably I would have still kept the 2 units of 6 death shrouds. They were absolutely killer. But I think what I would probably do is stick a couple of two drones in and something else.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about you then, Aiden? Because obviously you on the other end of it, you had the brigands. So you the furthest you had in your army was 24-inch shooting. I mean, did you ever sort of find yourself sort of wishing, like, oh, I really wish I had some 36, 40 plus inch range guns, or did you find that the 24 was fine because of the firing lanes that were there, or and also, how did you find 2 brigands? 3 brigands. Did you ever find that the third one was a bit redundant, and maybe 2 would have been enough because of the firing lanes being so restrictive? What was your sort of take on it from the other side?
So the brigands had me feeling like I really wanted 36 range at some points, because my opponent would take like these long angles, and like I could shoot them, but the reality is a brigand is not 24-inch range, it's a 12-inch range unit. You really want the melter to go off to get like the minimum 5 damage. And getting into melter range is quite hard in some angles. Sometimes I wish it was just like, maybe I need to just get more comfortable firing it for a d6 damage instead. But I mean, like, I still am learning brigands as well at the same time. And I will say, like, the list that I ran, it's a very good list. It's good at what it does. I'm still not liking it in a way. I like it and I don't like it. It's so weird. It's a good list and then you play it and it does well. The problem is, it's like I'm very infantry heavy with how I play. It's how I used to be. Now it's not viable at the moment. The build I used to run with like the PBCs and the passive playstyle, it's just not a thing since the nerf. So I'm getting better at the brigand playstyle, but one thing I've noticed, and I learned it actually when I was playing doubles with Sam, is Sam, when he plays, and the reason everything can work well in doubles is Sam's very ballsy. Sam's very almost arrogant, some would say, to a point where he's willing to put stuff out there and be like, yeah, come deal with it. And if you do deal with it, I'll just clap you back harder. Whereas that's not natural to me. So I tried actually playing that a bit more like Sam in some aspects of it. And Rotagus is great for that. I fucking love Rotagus though. I won't lie, Rotagus is mint. Bit of issues on certain deployments, but if Rotagus gets in a good place, then Rotagus is mint. I love it. It's the brigands, and it's just me not being used to using them yet. Like they did work. Like they did had games where like they popped like one tap to Vindicate. It felt so good. I think the main problem was that they just felt so bad in the Sisters matchup because they're just so outshone by Castigator. Castigator just shits on them. It's got way more range, and again the main issue is the Miracle Dice, because you sit there and you shoot your melter, and they're they're automatically going to pass one of them. Like they just sat there for 6. Like, yep, there you go, invul.
When I've played against Sisters a few times, I've had close games against them as well. I guess Death Guard kind of do, especially if you've got lots of small units. I actually found the Predators duelled quite well with the Castigators, because a lot of the times they weren't really bothering investing lots of fire into the Predators. So you kind of got a couple of rounds because you expected them to do no damage, and they only had to pop off once to do them. But I think had they focused them down, they would have died out. I mean, I think from sort of summarising from my own perspective and what you two have said, it seems like Predators are definitely the most points efficient shooting platform we have in terms of being the best of a bad bunch. But if you want,
Is this the part where I say fucking
things,
hate Predators?
No, but Will's right. If you just go on paper, if you like what damage it can
yeah.
do or how much it costs,
points to efficiency.
Yeah.
It is there, but the reliability and the squishiness is not.
Yeah.
And I wonder if 2 Predators and 2 Brigands is the sweet spot. So you kind of have a little bit of everything, but then are you kind of not enough of, you know what I mean? Do you kind of...
If PPCs come down again, I'd probably put 2 PPCs back in over 2 Predators now.
What do we think missed the 2-up save.
Need to be points one. Sorry, Aiden, I didn't make you.
No, I was gonna say I missed the PBC's 2-up save quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I'll get used to like using Brigands more, but I do miss, and I miss the good indirect, even when it's hitting on 4s, like the fact that it's -1 and 2 damage. Like Havoc's launch is just, I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not gonna bother shooting these. Like unless you've got a unit in your army that's like a 6-up, say like Colours, I'm just not gonna bother shooting them indirect. I'm just gonna shoot at whatever I can see, get the bonus AP on them, and hit on 2s. Because it's just awful. Whereas at least this round AAP2 could kill a Marina shot, which is quite nice. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to like the range issue though, it's not really a huge issue, but there are still some lanes, especially on the edge of the board, where somewhat like a Castigator can sit and just like dominate a lane, or like your opponent measures 12.1 away plus your movement, and you'll never get the melter range off, which was what happened in the Sisters game. But one thing I will say is the OC8 on the Brigands becomes real nice as well. You forget how good that OC8 is.
Yeah, I mean, I know that from the Carnivores. I find I like the Carnivores charging, hopefully killing living, and then putting the OC on the point, or sometimes just running on the point with the move and just standing there and, you know, and just denying around the primary. But of course, that's a different conversation. So, did you both run the plague bus? Was the plague bus involved?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Nice.
The plague bus never fails. Like I got every time I shot it at LGT, I got like 15, 16, 17, 14 like attacks and just annihilated whatever it shot.
It
was nice.
My final game was against CSM Renegade Raiders, and he had a brick of 10 chosen with a Master of Executions in it, and I deep struck him Rotagus to bait out a charge, because I was like, Rotagus in this matchup, kind of just want him to like overcommit to it, because he had 2 Predators in reserves, the big chosen brick, which was stopping me going out and making stuff happen because it can be so fast and react. So I'm like, what will get those guys to leave that round? I'm like, Rotagus will. And then when he drew Assassinate in his turn, I'm like, yep, they're going to come for him. So annoyingly, what happened is I deep struck, same as you, a Rapid Ingress Death Shroud next to Rotagus to be able to heroic in. Because I wanted to obviously heroic and then, you know, Typhus plus 6 Death Shroud, eat alive, you know, a lot of chosen. With -1 save. Unfortunately, my opponent rolled a fucking like 2 on the charge, so I wanted to base him like just outside of heroic range. I was like, are you kidding me? So, but thankfully, contingency plan. We had the plague bus around the corner. So, in my turn, I bring the plague bus out and I drive it up, getting contagion range using a bloat drone. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend the command point, going to put it up to AP4. You got guys that are in the open, so no cover here. So it's just like, okay, let's roll the shots. And I got a double 6 on the shots. Picked up the entire unit.
Nice. Okay.
It was horrific.
I was going to say with the plague bus, because this is something, you know, again, this is just a talking point, not to go too far in the weeds. We'll pull it back to specifically LGT stuff in a second. But obviously, Sam Boardman, you know, was arguably before you guys kind of put sources in. So I feel like you two are there. Or maybe Dave, I don't know, you know, I feel like one of you two archetype the plague bus in terms of the community at least, and maybe some other people had had it before then. But Sam had kind of archetyped the plague bus with 2 foul blight spawns before we kind of did this. Do you think there's an argument for going back to 2 foul blight spawns instead, and then having in some games where you, instead of having them as a shooting, you attach them to the plague marines and have them as, you know, either a plague bus in some matchups, or you give plague marines fight first in matchups where, say, blood angels, if they become prevalent? Do you think there's ever going to be a situation that happens, or do you just think the D6 +3 is always just too good?
It's the +3. It just makes it way more reliable. Like, you get minimum 8 shots. Minimum 8, maximum 18. Foul Blight Spawn, you could roll double 1. And then your Plague Bus drove around a corner to threaten someone, and it's done nothing. Like, Plague Bus always, like, deletes a chunk. It takes a chunk of meat every time it shoots. And I kept doing this bullshit thing. It was great. So, you know the middle L on the UKTC at the moment.
Yeah.
So what I'd do is my first Rhino is just there to give my Plague Marines the initial extra movement to get to the objectives, to sit on it all game with fights first. So they'd hop out, go there, get on the point. So what I'd do is then I'd set my Plague Bus so it can drive around the L and basically shoot anything off the middle if anything goes on it. And I'd park the second Rhino behind the L, so when the first one went round, it'd go shoot, kill something. They'd kill the Rhino, I'd disembark back behind the L, because I'm moving 3 of it, and they'd hop in the empty Rhino and do it again next turn. And it worked so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay, so it sounds like the Plague Bus is still on the money, which is fantastic. Because, like I say, I just wanted to bring up Fire Lanes because memberships again. So
thank you very much.
10 memberships up for grab in the chat. So jump on them quick. But I mean, so go on in. Obviously, Dave did his quick run through. I know you're going to do yours. I know you wanted to keep the stream to around an hour, which we're kind of approaching now. But do you want to do a quick sort of 5 round up of your games, Aiden, and then we'll maybe sort of move towards some finishing topics, maybe some questions from the chat if anyone wants to get a super chat in or anything like that. We can finish up with those questions. So Aiden, maybe fire away, try and keep it to sort of 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, so first one obviously was the stream game, so everyone could go and watch that. Penitent Host Sisters, I've played against Bringers, not played against Penitent Host. Sisters that like fight on death 1 or 2 up, that can move like 30 inches is I had no idea what to do against that, which was...
It's where you need the Nurglings in it. You've got to have the Nurglings to make one side safe.
He doesn't even do that, mate. I'll be honest with you. Like, they just don't care because they have full rolls to hit and wound. They're just like, don't care.
I mean, just to stop them advancing into deployment zones, you can at least...
Oh, they'll just go around you. It was mental, but it is what it is. And we were a bit pushed for time because of stream stuff, and I've made some mistakes. So later in the week, I'm not going to reenact that one like I normally do. I'm actually going to just pull up some pictures of the stream and be like, this is what I should have done here, because I know I made some mistakes. I've watched it back already. I've noticed my mistakes, know what I need to do. So I'll go through that there. There were also some garbage rolls. Like the first time I got a Brigand into Melter range and I shot it and I rolled double 1 to hit. I was like, are you kidding me?
Can't do anything like that.
That happens.
Yeah.
So it was what it was. But then I channeled my anger. So the next 4 games, I dropped 1 single point. So I got pissed off. So my next game was against Votan, which was a friend of Zito's, who's in the chat, and it was his sort of like first ever event, just getting back into the game. So kind of turned it more into like a sort of like help teach, make decisions, stuff like that. So he ended up getting 82 points out of it, which was great. But he was very new to it. So we spent a lot of time talking about some decisions he should make. What should he spend the command points? So we just tried to have a bit more of a back and forth of being like, yeah, so take this to your next game. And he did actually end up winning a game at the weekend. So hopefully the things I spoke to him about helped, and hopefully you enjoyed it. But yeah, a fairly nice bounce back on that one. Then we had, and he was a lovely guy as well. Even though his Hecaton exploded in his lines and did like 6 balls to everything. Then we went against the Dark Angels Gladius with the triple Deathwing Knights, the Eradicator Brick with the sustained 5s, lethal 5s. That was an interesting one. But Rotagus kind of did a big deal in that game. So Rotagus actually did really well on both game 3 and 4. Rotagus was a huge deal. But Rotagus caused a huge pain in the ass, drew so much attention to himself.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, basically, like he couldn't hold his natural objective because he only had inner circle companions to stand on it. He could only fit about 4 on it from behind the wall, the OC2. But Rotagus was halving the OC from the other side of the wall, so his 5 was beating their 4. So they had to come out and attack him, and then obviously I could shoot them. So that was a really close game. The guy played it really. He was quite cagey with how he played it. But overall, strong game. Happy with that. Dropped a single point, bastard. Round 4, I was against Tyranids. So this was again won entirely by Rotagus. This was the hardest one to score points on. But Rotagus again sat on that top left objective after a deep streak came in, rapid ingress him and walked onto it. All he had to hold it was monsters, but you can only fit on 1 monster from behind the wall, and then Rotagus halves its OC, so he has to come around the wall with more stuff. I had 2 Brigands waiting, so as soon as like an X-Cream popped its head out, I went and put a Melter Forge shot up its ass and blew it to hell. and my Plague Marines just sat on mine with fight first, like ha ha ha. But what you can actually do is you can actually get 3 Marines across the wall and then toe tip a Brigand onto it. So I actually had like OC 14 on the point. So it's just nothing he could do to take off. And again, if a monster came near, I'd just run the Brigand around the corner. The Plague Marines would come out and kill anything. So they kind of got the game on a bit of a lockdown there. But it was a great game. Game was lovely. And yeah, Rotagus, though, kind of solo carried that one. And again, Nids really struggled to kill. And he had 1 Tyrant effects. And every time he shot a Rogus, I was just like, if I fail a 4, I'm going to CP reroll it. But it didn't. And my last game was against Renegade Raiders, one of the Mohawk miniatures guys. And that was the one where it was a bit back and forthy. And then when that Plague Bus went off, I'm pretty sure that Plague Bus just sealed the game there and then by picking up like the entire 10-man Chosen brick, which was the one thing that was keeping the game in like a stalemate, because I didn't want to commit anything in case it came out. Picked up too much, but he committed to the Rotagus, and then Rotagus just the clap back from the Plague Bus, picked up his, I think it killed all 10 Chosen, left the one guy, left the character, who then got picked up the next turn. So really, really nice. So again, I'll go through all these later on in the week. Properly
so, Aiden,
break down.
We both had Sisters round 1, and we both had CSM Renegade Raiders round 5.
We actually did, didn't we? Which was really, really funny actually. I'll thank you very much for the gift membership, the Lazy Chicken, and gifted and tentacles for his 4 months is longer than most relationships. True. So thank you for becoming a member there. Again, guys, if you've just become a member, got gifted a membership, check the community tab on our YouTube channel. There'll be a link to join the Discord there. Make sure you get to join in there as well.
And also, if you're the 400th person that joins the Discord, you're getting a Typhus.
Oh yeah, Dave's giving away one of his painted Typhuses. Sierra coming in with the gifted membership there as well. Thank you very much, Sierra. Again, hugely appreciate all the support we're having tonight.
So let's jump back to sort of LGT, because obviously I think we've got to at least acknowledge Liam BSL as the overall winner. He did beat Andy from Team Stonehammer by 1 point in the final. So big shout out to Andy as well. He absolutely backed it for our team. He really showed us how good a player he is, and he's played on teams with Aiden as well. But Liam BSL, I mean, that list, I think when you guys did the pre-stream, I mentioned in the chat that it was a bit off meta and a bit out there. I mean, looking at it on paper, it just seemed like a random assortment of models. But Liam, being the genius he is, obviously, a Death Guard player as well. So we've got to give him the love. I mean, congratulations on a fantastic win.
Yeah, well done.
I saw, so I pinged the guys. I don't know what time it was last night. 6:30 or whatever. I was like, the live stream is still going. He's playing his 10th game of 40k at a tournament, and like Brian was playing brilliantly. Don't get me wrong, but you heard Brian just going, I should have done that, whatever. Like, he charged Lucius, then Liam fought first, precisioned out the character, picked up a load of boys. Like, Liam's a machine. Like, he just played that game so calmly and was just like, knew everything he was doing, and then you could just, the pressure. I think that just really calm, good player also puts on. But yeah, I mean, massive credit to him, and well done to him, and well done to him and Brian. Like, Brian played brilliantly as well to get there. So
yeah, well, he's Team Poland's captain, isn't he, Liam? The famous cap at the start. He felt in his so yeah, he was in Poland when we were streaming at work or something, hence where the confusion came. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to do anything with Liam's list. I mean, maybe that's something we want to sort of talk about. Maybe on the next episode, talk about how Death Guard could maybe sort of face that, and if it's going to.
I'll be honest, you are not going to face that list. That list, he won that off skill. That is not replicable by the normal player. I'll tell you that right now. So don't expect that to get seen. I don't even expect that to get nerfed, because it's just how he plays. It's insane. I mean, if you wanted to briefly touch on what I think is going to get changed in the upcoming slate, I think we are going to see T-Sons get a hit. We're going to see Sisters, Castigators, Immolators, all that kind of like stuff that's getting spammed. I wouldn't be surprised to see Astra Militarum get a small touch.
Astra Militarum need it on the Bulgrim, but probably if Astra Militarum get a touch on Bulgrim, then maybe that's fine for now.
Yeah, like Dark Angels will obviously get a hit because they're just bloody everywhere at the moment. But I mean, that'll be a topic for itself when it comes out, because that'll be obviously great to talk about. Yeah. I am looking forward to it to sort of have a bit of a mix up as well in this sort of the stream.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
Liam's list. Oh, sorry, I was just saying, I think Liam's list will definitely pop up in terms of copycats trying to replicate it. But I think Aiden makes a good point. I think it's like
Liam playing
Brian's list with the orcs. Like we're not all of a sudden going to see loads of orcs on top tables. It's Brian flexing with orcs and Liam flexing with CSM, isn't it? Really, the reality.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Bob, for coming and playing Marine there, mate. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't personally. I don't. I thought if it wasn't Liam playing it, I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's not the same. I don't think it's the same thing in someone else's hands. In that instance, the only thing I think I was going to close on comment wise was, I think if you look at how Death Guard did in this event, in the top couple of hundred places, like, or even if you look in the top 30% of the event, there's a lot of Death Guard players in there, and there's a lot of people from this community in there, and I think that says a lot about actually what can be done with our army when it's being played well. That does not equate to the 44%. I think average win rate from that. So I just think everyone that did take Death Guard to this event, I think it was a really good showing for the faction. I was pleased to see that in the listings.
Yeah, I think Death Guard had a great showing. And again, okay, maybe we didn't hit 5-0, but I think we're in a great spot where I think if the nerfs do come into those top factions, then I think we're going to start seeing Death Guard managing to reach those 5-0s again, which is going to be great for the faction, obviously, because we're super happy. Because getting 5 Death Guard going 4-1 was awesome. Dave, I am fairly confident if you would have took like a more, not a non-serious list, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like obviously we all know the Despoiler is more of a fun unit, not necessarily like hyper competitive, but it's still good. Doesn't mean it's bad. Just because something's not hyper competitive doesn't mean it's bad.
If I took more scoring, I think I could have 4-1 that.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and as Tentacles just said in chat as well, lots of variation in lists as well. So it does look like especially when it comes to Death Guard, it's all about not just the units we're taking, it's about the play we're doing. This is not an army that will carry the skill of the player. The player skill has to carry the army at the moment. Hopefully when the Codex comes out, that balances out a bit more to be a bit more of a mixture between player skill and army. But I do believe at the moment, player skill matters a lot more to us as an army than it does for some of the higher end, more powerful armies that are coming straight out of the books.
Yeah, I think that's true. So I'm going to ask a question then to field it to both of you guys, and then chat. If you've got any questions, try and get them in now. We'll give you maybe a minute or two while it takes Aiden and Dave to answer this question, and then we'll answer anything that pops up that we think's relevant, and then we'll probably bring this to a close because I know Dave and everyone's got to get off. I'm going to make some dinner. But so when the banner states that it comes, both of you guys, if the rules don't change for the PBC, what points do you think would be fair? So not making it stupidly cheap, not making it stupidly expensive for you to take it. So you go answer that, and then the time it takes for these two to answer that question, any chats that pop up into the chat, any questions, we'll answer those, and then and then we'll call it there, guys. So I don't know, Aiden, do you want to go first? What would you spend points wise on the PBC?
For a PBC, what would I spend points wise? So no other changes, just pure points. If you
realistically, not stupid cheap, not like 20 points, not like 120, but like what do you think?
If they're not going to give me indirect back, like I could find them playable at like 160, but I would rather them be like 150. Like again, it depends how much money they put on those. Depends how much money they put on those 2-up saves. But like if PBC is 150, because the thing if it's 150, then that gives me an extra 90 points, so I can put 3 in and get a bloat drone. Like that would make me happy. Like that would, if I could get a bloat drone for the changes. Realistically though, I don't see them going down that much. But I mean, if they could go down to 160, I would be happy. I would, but I mean, 165. But the problem is if they only go down like 15 points each, you're in that weird spot where we've got 45 points in a list. There's nothing you can do with that. So I'm hoping it'll be more like 160 or 150. But I mean, there's still a good vehicle. I just hope that if it comes down a bit, then I will start playing again, because that's one of my favourite units. It's kind of like the unit I always run free of. It's like my staple unit. So I have missed them a lot. Because again, I love baiting, because that they give me the confidence to play that more ballsy playstyle, because I'm like, I'm 2 up, I've got cover, can pop -1 to hit, that's fairly durable. Whereas like PBC's, Predators and Brigands, the 3-up save and the 2-up save, it's night and day. It's night and day.
Yeah. And what about you, Dave? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Chat said the same thing, and I said it. I think before we went on air, but I would take a 150. I'd take PPCs back, hands down. And the other thing I'd actually like to see is the tally man go to something like 35, but not be attachable, something like that.
Okay.
Because I think we could do with something, given that we have, and once again I saw it all event, playing Vanguard Dangles, who can fall back from a charge, who can reactive move across the whole board, can pick up stuff and put it back down again. I mean, this is goddamn Dark Angels that are doing this. You're like, we have none of that, and I had fun explaining to all my opponents at the start of every game. I have no shenanigans.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. So
Do you think you should go being alone up?
So just give me cheap CP regen.
Yeah.
I mean, so that leads nicely to the questions actually, because one of the questions, so we'll run through all the ones, because I know it's one about Rotigus, but also someone asking about, I think it's Tantaclus, asked about any sleeper units. I actually think the Tallyman could be a sleeper unit, because I actually don't think he's as overpriced as you think he is. I think he's not bad attached, because that +1 to hit, I think there's a little... I'm going to try this, I think, in my list, because I tried the 5-man fight first unit with all combat, with no buffs. But I think if you attack the Tallyman to get the +1, so he's doing something there, and then you've got 5 behind the point, because as we know, a lot of the UK TC, for example, you can't generally get more than 5 guys on. And then you're also regenerating your CP with the kind of plague means keeping it safe. I think it's expensive in the sense if someone's got one indirect gun that's half decent, that's the most expensive thing to get picked up in one round of indirect shooting in the world ever. But I actually think that could be a little sleeper unit to look at if you want like a fight first unit to hold a point, because the +1 hit makes them really good. So they're actually a fight first threat. It's not a big point, it's a small footprint, and you are then regenning the CP because he's outside of a transport. So I think that could be one actually little sleeper unit with the Tallyman there.
I hear what you're saying, Will. My personal view is that 5-man fight melee unit is pointless, and if you attach a Tallyman to it, it just gets shot and or it gets charged and gets killed, and you lose all of it, and you give up potentially assassinate. I think if you put him into a 10-man, I would rather have the lethals on 5s and 6s, and potentially then sustained to give me 5s and 6s are also blowing up, than I would want to hit. I don't think he's a bad character, and I would use him solo and tuck him into a building and make my opponent forget about him and roll for CP regen. That's just my opinion, but I wouldn't give up a Biologist or a Foul Blight Spawn for a Tallyman in a 10-man brick.
It's more, I think, if you're like looking to like shave, say 5 or 10 points, because sometimes you're often 45 points. But I think it's something where to be an anvil, not to be a hammer, like just to sit on a point instead of having the 10-man do it. Have the 10-man kind of in the list. You've got the option and the 5-man there as well, so you can kind of chop and change on the terrain type. It's something that I tried the 5-man all fight first, and it actually worked surprisingly well. Admittedly, when you add the extra 45 points, you then might have hit the point where the characters versus attacks to plague means doesn't add up anymore. But generally, it stops like a little 5-man. You've generally got to commit a proper thing if it's like a hidden unit in cover to actually dig them out. Like a combat, like they'll pick up most sort of combat units with that profile. Admittedly, they don't pick up Deathwing Knights or anything, but at the point someone's sending Deathwing Knights to kill even that, you kind of, you have a sort of counter charge set up. But it was just to answer the question about any sleeper units. I mean, I don't know, do you guys have any sleeper units that you want to mention in response to what was asked in the chat? I don't know if Dave, you want to go first there?
Spoiler. No, I don't think there's anything that's, I don't know, unsurprising in the index now. I think we've done as a community, I'm talking here, I think as a community, you've only got to look at the lists that were at LGT from Death Guard and the variation in it. I think we've done quite a good job as a community of trying to winkle out the combos and what's working, and so I don't think that's the case. I mean, I do probably want to try running some more Chaos Spawn, more multiple units of them to give them a try, but I don't feel it's stopping us going. I don't think something's taking us from 4-1 to 5-1 easily because we're missing a unit.
Yeah, it's fair. What about you, Aiden? Is there anything that you think could be a sleeper unit?
So from watching certain games and how people are doing stuff, I want to try a unit of Plague Bearers because they are cheap enough in the sense that I can put them out onto like a middle objective, string them back, have like 3 guys in the objective. 3 guys is important because OC6. You have 1 connecting back to your building and the rest behind it. Because it gives your opponent a choice. So this is the thing. Right now, if I put Cultists out, they send out anything, kills it. Doesn't matter, it's Cultist t-shirt saves. You put out Plague Bearers now, the choice is harder because the choice is, okay, it's OC6 on the point, so you have to out-OC, which commits at least like a decent-sized unit. Like a 5-man Dominion squad is not going to do it because it's OC6. And if you don't commit enough shooting to it, I will just pull the guys from behind the wall because I see all your movement before you shoot. If you overcommit to it, I will just pull the 4 guys off the point and then hide the rest behind the wall. And then I can actually punish that. And the problem with Cultists is they just fall over to a stiff breeze. No one has to commit anything serious to kill it. The Dominions that walk onto the point to take the Cultists off it, their bolt guns will kill them. But Plague Bearers with 2 wounds each won't be killed by that. So it gives you that option to go, okay, you've undercommitted your shooting. I'm going to pull from behind the wall, leave the 6 LC on the point, and they sticky. So if you don't kill it, cool, I hold primary and sticky it. So I want to see how that does, because I watched a lot of high-end games, and a lot of it came down to people are not putting out weak cultists to like force a bad trade anymore. I watched Liam. He did it with Noise Marines. He's putting his Noise Marine out there. Not a shit in the world. He's just like Noise Marines. Because the thing is, it forced them to actually react with a decent unit. Like, okay, it's a Marine, it dies, but you can't bolt gun Marines to death. Like, you'll maybe chip a few, but you have to put something like, even if it's just a Castigator, and forcing something like that is like, okay, now I can react to that, I can go Brigand that, I can go Predator that, I can do things. It gets the game moving. And then worst case scenario, you stick him in reserves, you can just rapid ingress on, walk on someone's objective, take it. It's another battle line unit to play for like secret missions. So I actually want to try it out and see how it goes, because I've always felt like my third bloat drone's a little lost. And if we get any point drops with like PBCs or something like that anywhere, maybe those extra points will allow me to put take out a drone and put a unit of Plague Bearers in and just see how that goes.
Okay.
So,
Well, I've got 60 painted Plague Bearers from when it used to be able to run when the list in it were 90. I never got the other 30 painted, so I've got 10 painted Plague Bearers.
I've got a load down there as well.
I've got 10 painted actually. I need to base them, but they are painted. So that would be mine.
Okay.
That's something I want to try.
Okay, and so then, I mean, I don't. There was an awful lot of chats, but one of them was, I think, directed to you quite specifically, Aiden. But I suppose Dave and myself, we could put pins if we wanted to. But I think, do you always rapid ingress Rotigus? Was one of the questions that I saw in the chat.
Not always. Sometimes you can just put him somewhere and be a big fat blob. That's fine. Just threaten someone to make someone come out and do something. But rapid ingressing does help, because you rapid ingress and walk onto an objective. It's like, cool, deal with me. But again, it depends if the Death Shadow need it more. I'd always try and spend 2 CP, one to do one turn, one to do the next. But you don't have to. Like the last game, I didn't rapid ingress. I was just like, I need to get these chosen out this Rhino. Bop, Rotigus, there you go. Deal with it, or I'll walk onto your point next turn.
Nice, yeah, that makes sense. I'm just scrolling down here. The sleeper unit, standard Rotigus. I mean, I think the chat seemed to agree on the PBCs. I think 150 points was what people say. I think in an ideal world, we'd all like to be 150, but I think 160, 165 is where we might end up.
This one's for you, Hugh James. Staring directly at you now. Get a good wipe off, son.
So yeah, I mean, it's a Tallyman solo. We've kind of talked about that was Dave's thing. I don't see any questions unless I'm missing something that the other guys can see. If I missed a question, maybe me repost it. But I think that's it from what I can see, unless I'm missing anything. I don't know. Can you guys see anything that I haven't spotted?
No, I think also we'll
just very quickly to Papa Luke. Yes, Rotti and
go on.
Morty can be ran together competitively because they both have toughness 12 and 4 up invulnerable, and that skew is just a pain in the ass for some list to deal with.
Yeah, that's what the is it Craig who he said beat.
That's what he used to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that list. Like I say, I'm jealous that I didn't think of it first. I can't steal his list now, otherwise I might have. Well, actually, That is, I've just seen someone mention there, the Poxspring is another really good sleeper unit. I did not realise it has a 5-up field no pin. Like, it's a tiny base, it's only 55 points. I think if you kind of at that annoying point where you've got, 55 points and you've maxed out on cultists, or you don't think Poxwalkers that you want, whatever reason, just a nice little deep striking small base, just one OC to go somewhere and do an action. That 5-up field no pin, and he's got a few other shenanigans. He's something that I think's worth looking at as well, just as an extra thing to throw in there.
Could be interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. What's that? Sorry.
Could be interesting to lock at that. To be fair.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's something that all the Chaos Knight players are doing, because he plays with Battle Shock and Leadership as well, so he has a second benefit with them. But when I know he said a 5-up field no pain and he's only 55 points, I think he's got other uses. He's not a joke, basically. Like,
yeah.
I didn't realise he had a field no pain. I think that adds a lot of value to him.
And then you do need to take Nurglings, right?
You do have to take Nurglings, yeah.
It's not 55, it's 95.
Yeah, but I think at this point, I think most people are taking Nurglings anyway. I mean, that's I suppose, debate we could have on the next episode, Nurglings or not to Nurgle, because there's been loads of times when I'm like, could I just be better with just not having these and 40 points more? Because there are games when they do diddly squat, but there's been games when they do something, and that something is like swung the game. So I think they're definitely a weird one, Nurglings. I feel like for a tournament you kind of have to put them in because you don't know what you're going to play over 5 rounds. But if you knew what armies you were going to play, or the meta was very defined, they are a bit of a tax at times. But the -1 is also pretty good. -1 to hit, that is.
Yeah. Right, well, we're probably going to have to wrap up here because people have plans for the evening or needs that must be done. So just before we go, we've got a few things to just obviously shout out. I have a new one as well. If you just let me grab my main window capture here. Ooh. There we go. Let me change this. So if you are out there looking for... I can find my Opera. What is it? You're not going to let me find the new screen? Nope. Okay, I'll find it on here. Basically, if you're out looking for a new terrain set at the moment, you can check out the following on... hopefully it'll load here. There we go, let it load. Hopefully you can see it on the stream. Yeah, perfect. So, some of the guys who do run a YouTube channel called Plastic Crackheads have started making sets of some modular terrain for the... obviously for Warhammer 40k. It looks really good. As you can see, it's all modular. You can take it apart as you need them for the different kinds you need of games that you're having. So feel free to check these guys out. They've also given us a little code for, if you use code DISGUSTING, you get 5% off your order as well. So it's a really cool little terrain set. Dead easy to set up. It's also potentially... we're going to be sent a set as well from them. So we're going to have it etched as well with our logo. That'd be quite cool. So we can make use of that at some point, which is very cool. But yeah, if you guys are just ever been fancy looking at getting a terrain set that's easy to pack away, as you can see here, that's how much room you need to literally store it. It's dead easy to put together, sorted, nice, quick and easy way to get yourself some games at home or at your local club. Do check these guys out. And yeah, use the code DISGUSTING to let them know that we sent you, and that basically we are the best YouTube channel that have more subscribers than they do. So yeah, do check them out. There is a link in the description as well, with the link to this Etsy page here. So do check them out, and show them some love because they are good lads, and I enjoy their bat reps, and this is what they've started playing on. So yeah. Just wanted to shout that out. Other things to shout, if you were interested in buying some models, where can you buy some models, Will?
Element Games, of course, where, if we talk a lot about the LGT, they do sell the TT Combat LGT sets. Not as modular and easy to pack away as the one that Aiden's just shown you, so I think if you've got small space at home, that's a fantastic set to buy. But if you are looking to, get better and do reps on UKTC sets, they're sold to Element Games, where we get a little kickback. Anything you buy through Element's website, when you use our affiliate link, we get a little bit, and it all helps the channel going. Also, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I mean, Aiden, if I couldn't remember how big a contagion was, I really wanted to mark out my contagion ranges. Is there anything I could do to do that? Anything that any companies that might have our branding on?
We do have a link in the description for Saltire Games, who do a disgustingly resilient podcast themed set of gaming aids to track all of your contagion markers, deep strike markers, and infected objective markers. So check those out as well. And if you really were struggling to how to learn the game, where could we find some help on that one, Dave?
We can head on over to our good friends at Vanguard Tactics, who have an academy that's just about to open again, where you can get on a course with some of the best players who finished in some of the top places at the event, who are really lovely people. They have free bat reps. You can go onto vanguardtactics.com on the YouTube channel, watch free games, get masterclasses, and we have an affiliate link down in the description as well, which will also support the channel.
Excellent.
There you go. So, I mean, I think we've
one
come
more,
to the end.
one more shout out is once again is for Robert Lopez, who made our theme song that we've been using, Embrace the Bot, at the start of the stream. Robert very kindly gave us permission to use that song at the start of it. If you we've shared the link in some of the videos in the comments. I'll put it into this one once it goes into rewatchable as well. But yeah, go and check out Endless Taverns as a channel. If you play any of the armies, he's made songs for all of them, and yeah, very kindly let us use his music at the start of it. So thanks a lot.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I mean, we mentioned before, obviously, we don't know what's happening in terms of the meta. I think it's generally agreed that the meta is getting a little bit stale at the moment. The rules have been out for quite a while. Games Workshop have kind of acknowledged there isn't going to be a codex for a bit. So we might sort of have a few weeks that's not happening. So we might sort of come back some challenges or some things that we did some thought process of list building. Might get some guests back. I know I did reach out to Quinton from Art of War, and he was very keen to come back on. We're going to do a Teams sort of focused episode before WTC, but then life got in the way and things like that. So I'm sure Quinton would hopefully like to come back. Maybe get Liam VSL back to do some State of the Death Guard stuff, get some of those top players talking about their opinions and what's good, and some out there list ideas. But you know, continue. Obviously, Aiden's got loads of content. Dave's got some solo content. At some point, we'll get back on doing some solo content as well as the stuff we do together. As long as these fortnightly sort of live streams that we do as a trio. But you know, have you guys got any videos coming up that you want to plug before we end the stream?
I'm going to do just obviously the rundown from LGT. I will also probably do a bit more of an in-depth talk on the Despoiler, given that I've just put it through 5 games of the second largest event in the world. Because I know we've got a lot of fans of the Despoiler in the channel and a lot of people wanting to take it. So I did take that for you guys as well to say, after me saying I thought it was good. You know, as I said to Aiden before, you got to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. So like, got to take it in there, and I can tell you it does work. So I'll look forward to spending a bit more time talking about that one.
Yeah, and I'll just be doing my usual event recap later in the week to go through all the games. So keep your eyes open for that one. For now, everyone, then I suppose this is goodbye for now. So remember, everyone, to stay rotten out there, and we'll probably announce something to do with a store because we were going to do that at some point. But